Hello. The reason why I'm here is because your team has hit a bit of a bump in the road. I've watched your last few games, and I can tell you with confidence that I can help you get back to where you want to be. Your team has underperformed recently, especially in close games, and that could be for a variety of reasons. Your team isn't physically up to the standard to be able to compete for the majority of the game, but I can tell you that's not true for your team. Your players look strong and they look fit. Where your team is struggling is up here. It's all mental. Your players look stressed and they look like they're lacking confidence. You guys haven't won many games recently, and from the way you coach, I know you've let your players know that also. I believe that great coaches are also great teachers. Coaches are teachers. You're teaching them the technical side of the game. You're teaching them the tactical side of the game, but you're also teaching them life skills. You're teaching them skills that they can take away from the sport and apply to their everyday lives and make themselves better humans. One of the most important things around a successful team is the culture around the team. It is important that every single player on the roster knows that they matter, that they're important, that you are important. Every single player has a role. From the star player to the last player on the bench, they all have a role within the team. And it's important that they know what their role is and that they understand that they are important. Now, these roles are not set in stone and they can move over the course of a season, but they must all understand that they're important. There has to be a mutual respect between you and your players, and that there's an open line of communication, that your players feel like they can come talk to you. Now, you might not agree with everything they say, but they have to understand that their voice will be heard and that you will listen. Now, with that said, there are also non-negotiables. You should never have to ask your players to work hard. You should never have to ask them to be on time. Now, these things are non-negotiables, and it's up to you to drive this to your players. One of the most influential coaches in my philosophy is Coach Wooden. Coach Wooden is one of the most successful collegiate coaches of all time. Do you know how often he spoke about winning to his team? Never. He never mentioned winning one time. He was focused on the actions within a game. He was focused on his players shooting, how or when to shoot, his passing, how, when, or why to pass, defense, how to play defense. He was focused on these actions. His players took that to heart. His players were focused on these actions. And the more you focus on the individual actions within a game, the higher your chance of success is to complete those actions. What that does over time is that the more successful actions you have within a game, the more chance you have to win the game. So by not focusing on winning and focusing on these actions, you actually give yourself a better chance to win the game in the end. There's a man I'm studying named Gilbert, and his philosophy is all about analyzing what your players know. What I mean by this is you can ask them tactical questions. You can ask them what it means to high press. What does it mean to play with three at the back? 2 midfielders versus 3 midfielders. You can also ask them questions like, what does it mean? What do you think of when I tell you when I ask you what is mental toughness? You can find out what your players know and how they think. But you can also figure out the skills they know. Everyone that plays soccer kicks a soccer ball. We have to. It's the game. But are they kicking the ball correctly? An activity you can do is put them in a grid. You can watch them play. Now, there's competence at an unconscious and conscious level, and there's incompetence at a conscious and unconscious level. What I mean by this is, in a game, in the grid, you're doing stuff. Most of it is by habit. Now, if you're doing it correctly, it's unconscious competence because you're not thinking about it, but you're doing it correctly. If you're not doing it correctly, it becomes unconscious incompetence. As a coach, we have to teach them, correct them from their mistake. And then that becomes conscious incompetence because now they're aware. Hopefully over time, it becomes conscious competence, and then they develop the habit and it becomes unconscious competence. Now, you want to make this challenging. You want to make the activities challenging, but you don't want to make them too impossible so that they never succeed. You want to set realistic goals and you want to continue to motivate them. The second person that I've been studying, his name is Jansen. Jansen, again, is all about the culture around the team. You have to have a mutual respect between you, the coach, and the players. There has to be an open line of communication where they feel like they matter, that they are not just a player, but they are a person. And then your core values, your culture is an extension of you. Your team is an extension of you. It is up to you, the coach, to drive this culture into your team. And that includes your core values. You want to examine your culture as it is right now. Now, there's a bit of an incident happening within your team right now. There's an argument between your players about whether or not they want to sign this Black History Month manifesto. You want to figure out why players want to sign it and why players don't want to sign it. There are two perspectives to everything, and you want to figure out both sides. You also have to understand that change does not happen overnight. You have to drive it into your team and create that culture. You cannot take shortcuts because you're the leader. Everyone looks to you. If you cut corners, guess what? They will too. One activity that you can implement is a role-playing activity. You can have players on your team role play as different races and different skin colors. This will help your players showcase what they think it's like for other people, for people of different races, of different skin colors. And it helps them not only give a perspective of what they think it's like to live as another skin color or another race, but it also gives them a chance to see what other people think of them and vice versa. The third person that I've been studying, his name is Lanier. He's all about having the right team of coaches around you. As a coach, you don't know everything. It's not possible to know everything. And it's not wise to pretend like you know everything. You want to surround yourself around the right people. Understand what your strengths and weaknesses are, and having those people around you fill that void where you're weak. Where you don't know, where you struggle, the people around you are there to help bring you up. You also don't want people around you that are just yes men. You don't want someone that agrees with everything you do, because not everything you do is correct. You need people around you that will help question you, that will push you, that will not say yes to everything you do. And you want these people to bring the best out of you. You want your team around you to be full of trust. You have to trust the people you work with. One activity that you can implement are SMART goals. Are they specific? Are they measurable? Are they actionable? Are they relevant? And are they timely? Now, I know I told you a lot of information here, so here are three key points that I think you should take from my presentation. One, the culture is the most important thing that you can have around your team. You have to understand that that culture does not break for anyone. No person is bigger than the team, and tough decisions need to be made. It is important that every single one of your players understands that they matter. From the star to the bench player, every single one of them is important, and their role within the team matters. They also have to understand that winning isn't the focal point. It comes from you, the coach. You have to drive in the actions. You want them to focus on what they have to do within the game, whether that's pass the ball, whether that's shoot the ball, dribble the ball, make that hard run into the box. They have to focus on the actions within a game. The last thing that I'll end on is you want to be the coach that you want to play for. If you're not the coach that you want to play for, then you got to change. Thank you.